All right, this book review is on the 27th of May, 2024, and it's on the first two books, Malice and Valor by John Gwynne in the Faithful and the Fallen series. I have finished both books. I have decided not to separate them, as in my head, it's hard to separate them now that I've finished both of them. And I couldn't wait to read that second book. I was out. I couldn't do anything like this, and I needed to read more of the story, which is wild. So I decided to read more fantasy, and this is on the top of a lot of people's lists, and why not, right? Jumped into it, and much like most fantasies, the beginning was a little bit, right? A little bit, took a little bit of getting going, and that's hard to do, and for most any of these big fantasy series, right? Because you gotta get all these multiple different point of view characters set up, and they're different parts of the world, which I thought was interesting. Kind of fleshed out the world, right? And we've seen a lot of it already. Okay. A lot of the characters did feel a little bit samey at first, like Castell and Veratus felt a bit samey, but as we went through, very, very different, very interesting, going very different paths, let's say. Yeah, we had Corban Quinn. Maybe it's supposed to be Quinn. Now I'm trying to say it. I'm like, oh, maybe it's Quinn. But then there's another character named Quinn later on in the second book. Quinn, let's say. She's very interesting. Like none of the characters feel after the first 10% too tropey, too terrible. They're all unique and very interesting to follow. Corbin can be a bit, now that I'm thinking about it, he's very good at everything, and he brings everyone. He's very likable. He's great, other than like in the beginning when he shows kind of a cowardly act. He learns from it and has been brave ever since, which is great. And it was good to see him act cowardly in the beginning, I guess, right? Because you see that growth, but he grows in all these different ways as well, which is awesome. And all the side characters in this, you feel like all the side characters are being, not only the main characters, the side characters, which you do get point of views on some of them. The side characters feel as fleshed out and real and strong as the main characters, which is great. Characters are likable. What I really liked though about it is not only do you get point of views from villains, you get point of views, some of your main characters who you're supposed to really like Veratus. He is in service of the enemy, of the big baddie, and it's very interesting to see that point of view, and it's great. Love that, how he is still, even after the second book, unwittingly following the enemy. Yeah. The lore, the backstory, the lore is, I guess, sort of interesting. I'm not crazy into it. There was the fall. You get the whole angels, demons, devil fall. You get giants and men having eternal life until the fall. There was I think a killing. Scald, was he killed? And then they lost their long life. There's a whole lore, and I'm not crazy interested. I'm interested enough in that it gets the plot forward and explains things, but nothing like I'm gonna go out of my way to figure out. Not that interested, but in service of the story, it's perfectly fine. But the characters are what brings us forward and makes me keep turning these pages. As well as, secondly, there's almost no downtime. Like there's always things happening, always. There's fights, there's big character moments. Everything's always nail biting. You're not just, let's say, on a trip from here to here and then on the map, and then most of it is talking about how exhausted you are walking or anything like that, right? It's always you're sprinting, there's fighting happening, you're getting from point A to point B. You're never overly long in a place. You feel that time. The author does really well where you feel that distance, but that distance you don't, as a reader, really feel it to where you're exhausted with them. You are excited the whole time, and it's pretty great. fast paced, great. I would say this is on for like minute to minute action and speed and enjoyment of reading. I would say this is definitely on the level of the Red Rising series, which is in like my everything's a movie in your head kind of tier, which is like the highest tier you can be for books in my point of view, where the words filter out, they're immediately gone, and you just see what's happening with no breaks. You feel it, and that's hard to do. It's really hard to do, and there isn't a magic formula to it, and both Pierce and Gwen write differently, but there is a similarity to the pacing, and the pacing is just great with this series. There's only 4 books, and I love that. We're not going to turn into the Wheel of Time where everything takes too long. All of the characters, their arcs are way too stretched, or the arcs take weird turns that really don't need to be there. You know, that kind of, the problems with Wheel of Time are there. They're huge, and that keeps me from recommending the story to like most anyone, right? There's only 4 books. Everything is just rushing through, and everything feels right. So far, these 2 books, I'd give the first book an 8.5 and the second book like an 8.8. 8.9 is what I'm feeling now, and it's probably going to go up as we go. Absolutely love these books. Can't sing the praises enough. I've already bought the 3rd book. I'm sure I'm going to rush through that in the next couple days, and then we're on to the next one. These books are great. The characters are great, and couldn't ask for more in a fantasy series, really. This is top of the line stuff. We'll see where the rest of the series takes us. Next one.